DIY.
What's good with the DIYers? Welcome to Curtis King Reacts. I'm your host, Curtis King. Something I've been giving a lot of thought to, especially over the last year of this battle and really the second round that seems to be between fan bases, sometimes fans of hip hop, most times fans of Drake, sometimes fans of Kendrick, most times fans of OVO. You know, as I discuss these things with some of the most intelligent minds that I know, specifically my guy Justin Hunt, the company man, he brought it to my attention how much some of the rhetoric that you're seeing sometimes on the more extreme OVO supporters seems to mirror talking points of very extreme MAGA supporters. And so I wanted to do something a little bit different with today's video, in that I've compiled a few different conversations that I had, one with obviously Justin Hunt and the collective, one with Professor Sky, and then another one that I had with Torre and King Green and my guy Screwface. And I would love to see if you guys have been experiencing this. I know some of y'all be working jobs, you don't be involved in social media situations, but let me just tell you, it gets ugly out here. Some of these folks go to the extremes. You never know what their mental health situation is. And every time I say that, I think back to the first time that Trump ran for office and how extreme some of the stuff that I was seeing online was. So this video is not here to divide or alienate anybody, but this video is to shed light and to start up a conversation in the comments below. So without further ado, here's a mix of videos that all cover this topic of political extremists and superfan extremists. Hope you enjoy.
I think this is another example of how everyone needs to be aware of the fact that opposition media has crept into hip hop and has crept into social media in a different kind of way. You know, I mean, Mox, you made the point about staying away from politics. This is the most political I've ever seen the hip hop media space. And it's literally connected to big political movements. I mean, you had Trump, who thanked the Nelk Boys, who own Happy Dad, who sponsors half the people that were part of, in my opinion, you know, the fake tweets they put out on Screwface. You know what I mean? So there's a direct line. And so, you know, and from my point of view, it is a divide and conquer strategy, right? It's comparing apples and oranges and trying to get people to turn on everybody, or to make everyone look like a hypocrite, or to make everyone look like how, you know, they feel like they're being described at that point in time. And so this is another one of those moments to just raise the vibration and really understand the marketplace we're in. We can't expect these things not to happen, especially as effectively opinionated as all of us are. The things that we say travel very far. And so, you know, this is just the what the landscape has evolved to, because in 2011, 2020, 2010, 2012, whenever, Twitter was a totally different place. You know, now you have the guy who's, you know, we have our unelected president owns it and uses it every day to pass or to get people to not worry about legislation being passed as he does stuff. You know, so we're all in this marketplace. And this is another example of how we have to be as aware of that and truthfully faithful to the fact that we know who we are and we know what we're putting out there, and not necessarily take the bait every time something happens, because there's a lot of people out here moving with malpractice.
Yeah. I gotta get better at not taking the bait. I'm an arguer, boy. Oh man, that is the number one thing people that were telling me, like, hey, stop these people, we know what they're doing, you don't gotta do. But I'm like, bro, I got this thing in me, man, where I gotta make you know. That's
that battle rap. You give a rebuttal. Feels like, I said this the other day, and I was talking to Justin about this. I was like, I missed the whole, you know, losing friends over the first Trump campaign, because my life was just very different. I wasn't really focused on politics. It was pretty much primarily music and, you know, keeping the bills paid away at that time. But with that said, I seen a lot of people falling out, and I was like, I understood why. I look at this and know how extreme things have been, especially specifically over the last, I'd say 3 to 4 months. It seems to be mirroring some of the things that I caught wind of. And that's one of the first topics we're going to get into is even if you get away from the political content, can you do that if you still covering hip hop?
That's true. That's true. I'd rather lose somebody's attention because I like Kendrick rather than over anything with Kamala and Trump, because I really don't care about politics enough, you know what I mean, to lose anybody attention over that, just to be real with you. But you could say something like, I saw Kamala speech and she talked pretty well. And it's like, oh man, I ain't know that you messing with Kamala Harris, man. I can't mess with you, Moxie. So
you're a lefty liberal.
Right. How dare you have an opinion of your own? What you mean we don't agree on everything that you ever made? What are your thoughts on the pros and the cons of this era of reimagined super fandom?
Reimagine super fandom. Well, let me define it for everybody who might not know. There's a technical definition for super fandom, and super fans are described as anyone that's willing to spend money on an artist in 7 or more different ways. Right. So you're talking about like the most elite, and this is defined by my God, what's it called? Lumetri? What's it called, Curtis? The company that does all the analytics for Billboard charts.
Oh yeah, it's Lumetri. I think it's
Lumetri. It's close in there. And so one of the priorities for the music industry going into 2024, in their big report, they talked about how the industry itself was going to focus on super fans. It's taken from the Hybe model. This is the company that puts out most of the K-pop artists in the world. And so Hybe created these very interactive, addictive portals for K-pop artists where they can spend money 7 or more different ways on artists. And they were crazy, just blew out the water in their balance sheet. The artists grew like crazy. So they want to adapt this across the music industry right now. So we're in a super fan focused environment from a structure standpoint, right? From what the labels are doing, from the people who are investing in marketing dollars, who are investing in technology to help these artists hit different algorithms. They're focusing on that right now. That is the structural connection to what we've seen forever with like the Beehive or with the Barbs or whoever, right? We've seen how they interact online, just generally speaking. But now there's a structure and an industry feeding these beasts. And there's also a lot of bots that go into these conversations at the same time. And so for me, I think this is an amazing opportunity, one, for everyone to start thinking about who their super fans might be. Like, who are the people in your audience that are willing to support you in 7 or more different ways? Because it's a growth strategy that transcends genre and even transcends whether it's music or in sports or whatever. But 2, also having that understanding when you're interacting with people. I think it's fun to troll. I have a good time trolling. That super fandom turns into fanaticism fast. And I think we saw that with Screwface. You know what I mean? Like if we're in a super fan focused environment and someone really pisses you off about the way that they're treating the person that you're a super fan of, and now you feel like you need to go on a crusade and rep for the person you were a super fan of, you would be out here doing some crazy stuff, damn near illegal stuff. You know what I'm saying? Presenting stuff in a different kind of way, type of stuff, right? And so that's the macro environment that we're in. I think that's the major con of it, right? Because at the same time, too, I'm a super fan of Lupe, right? I'm a Lupe Fiasco. We use that for example. I would buy a T-shirt. I would buy a thumb drive. I would buy a record. I'm a super fan of Lupe, right? And I'll go to a Lupe concert and have a good time with my fellow Lupe super fans. And then sometimes there's been situations where we interact on social media. And then they go on social media and they say something crazy, nuts. Like I'm just like, I'm 180 degrees away from, and they're expecting me to co-sign it because we both are super fans of Lupe. Well, the only thing we have in common is that we're super fans of Lupe. I don't know anything else about you. And honestly, if that's how you represent yourself, I'm not sure if I feel as comfortable being a super fan of Lupe. Maybe I don't. Maybe you're being a bad representation of it. Those are things that we always try to keep at the forefront of how I think about who I'm interacting with. Mental illness is real. People do not have as much time people have way more time on their hands than I generally think they should or do. And people will spend their day trying to tear you down. And we're out here with face forward. Everybody on here, our faces are out there. Everybody on here, we are very accessible. You know what I'm saying? It's different and then half these guys are like, right, exactly. And you're having a deep conversation with someone with way too many numbers at the end of their tag. There's a level of danger and distance that we need to make sure we consider because people are out here crazy. So the pro is, there's an entire industry that's now giving us that opportunity and the tools to help us maximize the impact that we have with our audiences. And the problem, the cons are people are crazy and they're willing to break the law if you disagree with the person that they love arguably too much.
I'm seeing the same thing happen when I'm in that OVO Twitter spaces where I'm like, wait a minute, not one person believes this. They all collectively believe this bastardized version of street terminology, this bastardized version of principles of hip hop. They've redefined it for themselves and made it an all lives matter without anybody in there that had any kind of connection to the roots of it. They get to redefine it because they're a fan of one person. They're not a fan of hip hop. I mean, somebody made a point about that, and they're fans of Drake first, then maybe hip hop.
The fact that this has become almost like political space is obviously evidence that like social media and how the internet works nowadays, with interest media rather, right, has created these groups. Like divisiveness is something that these companies feed you, right? You to Google, Meta, they feed you divisiveness because it makes you stay on these platforms. And it's just crazy how with this battle it's created this and it's just living. Like this is not dying, it keeps growing. It's like a fungus, this idea that you got to be Drake or Kendrick, right? This has never existed before ever in hip-hop in this capacity.
It's sad because I can't even tweet lyrics that I genuinely like by Kendrick without it being arguments in my comments. And I know this is partly my fault, but it's like I can't. You guys think, for an instance, hey, this is a guy that I've been listening to, and maybe I'm just sharing lyrics. Maybe it's not a dog whistle for OVO supporters to come out. I can't even share.
Like if I go listen to Sicko Mode, or if I'm caught dancing to Sicko Mode in a club in Cape Town, South Africa, is someone gonna take me and be like, Green is over here dancing to fucking Sicko Mode? Yeah, I'm dancing to Sicko Mode. I love that.
Why were you dancing to Sicko Mode? What's the problem?
You know, I don't believe in, you know, painting these things as absolutes, right? There's obviously, that's why, like, even today I was talking to Torre and King Green, and I was saying that when I saw the similarities between extreme MAGA supporters, and they were like, "What do you mean? You don't have to clarify that." I said, "Yes, I do, because I know that there's some people who, because of his choice for a judge, that was a deciding factor for them. They said, I'm gonna vote for him." And I hate talking like that because I hate when people talk about hip hop like that. Because of this one artist, the whole thing is violent, and I feel like that's not fair to those who have a very complex way of breaking it down, whatever the case may be. But in talking about that, you know, I did start to see there's a lot of the analogy. I almost forgot. The analogy that I had was, if there's Taco Bell on that side, then there's Beyond Beef on this side at times. Right. Like, it's like we're all championing the vegan meat is the vegan meat is in Carl's Jr. It's still in Carl's Jr. Chill out. Like, not quite the La Revolution quite yet, until my favorite statement, my favorite quote is you don't have a movement until everyone is moving.
Yeah, that's right.
And so there that exists, to where there's some people who are diet Kendrick fans who are, you know, championing, we finally got vegan meat inside of inside the restaurant. And it's like, well, Impossible Meat got some really weird things in the ingredients. Why are they around? So but
to get back to your original division point. So again, I'm going to be sympathetic towards all humanity again. So I call it COVID-16. So I think in 2016, humanity lost its war with technology. So like remember in Terminator 2, like when it started off, like whenever whatever the name of the company was, Sensodyne, whoever it was, took over, and like this was the moment. So I think 2016 is when we really lost, because that's when Trump got elected the first time, and we started to see just how effectively our divisions were monetized by more amoral ghouls, right? So like when we lost that battle, when Trump got elected because of the anger and division, because anger and division is what got ad revenue for CNN. So it didn't matter if they hated Trump, they were going to keep doing it. And then we're just basically constantly replaying 2016, like the 2016 election over and over again. We're addicted to it, and our economy is addicted to it. And then we're constantly drawing these lines. And it's like, and Justin pointed out about Last Jedi with Star Wars, that was that same culture war. Or Tiger King. Tiger King was the same culture war. Vaccines was the same culture war. The next election, and then Kendrick and Drake, and somehow it always manages to fit right in. And I'm not a good enough like future historian to look back and figure out what's going on. But it's true. MAGA OVO is like a real thing. I'm sure I know there's a lot of people who are not socially conservative who support Drake, but it's weird. Like it just gets
I'm sorry to distract you. Some of these are too good. I'm like, I'm not gonna keep them back again. Shout out to Justin. Justin said Tiger King deserves it all in all caps. I am done. Justin, I am done.
I know Tiger King was Trump. Hillary was the lady. Anyways.
How the hell does that happen? Because there's a part of me, Professor, that's very excited to see an era where super fans seem more stronger than ever. Yep. There's a part of me that's like, wow, people care enough about an artist or care enough about their music to defend it and fight for it, cry for it after we just came out of this zombie apocalypse or this zombie era of, it's just more music, to the point where an album became old to some generations of folks after a week. Like, oh, I'm not listening. It's old.
Yeah.
To see folks now caping for music that they may or may not have even given a full listen, it, to me, shows like, okay, super fandom is here. For whatever reasons, maybe motivating outside the music, it's here, and I'm excited to see it. However, and that's a big however, it's concerning to see the lengths at which some people in this era with more access, because super fans have always existed, crazy fans have existed. I think about Selena, and like I know these things have always kind of existed in the space, but now it seems like they have access that they've never had before. I'm getting botted like crazy right now, and even situations like, I don't want to rehash it, but my guy Screwface John, seeing him deal with fake tweets that disrupt his flow of content, it just to the point where it's like, fake news and misinformation has found its way to a rap battle. How the hell did we get here?
to people who comment on rap battles. That's it's wild. But there are companies that benefit from that, and our system is always going to go towards wherever the money is. Like water always goes downhill. American culture is always going to work towards generating the maximum profit. And that's sometimes good, usually bad. And whatever it is, this division is going to be. And is like, in some ways, the most kind of rebellious thing we could do is just love Drake fans. Just say like, I think we love different things. And I mean, unless you think he's actually guilty of doing the things that he's been accused of doing, if you're like, he's just sort of a symptom of a sickness. He's not the sickness itself. And 0 to 100 is just a great song. I don't care if he wrote it or didn't write it. That song rules, and Take Care was good. And like you and I, we can.
I can't let it go, Professor. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Don't be greedy. Peace.